Do you want to be a master of Pokemon contests? In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to become one. Hey gamers, welcome back to Game Master's Dungeon. I'm Brian, your Game Master. I want to start off by saying that I hope you've all had happy holidays and you had a great new year. So to start us off here in the new year, we're going to do a video about Pokemon contests for Pokemon Tabletop United. So real quick, let me give you a rundown of what we're going to go over in the video. And then I'm going to talk about a couple of things and then we'll get into it. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to go over into the rulebook. I'm going to show you the section in the rulebook regarding Pokemon contests. I'm going to touch on a few key points there. Then we're going to go over into my Roll20 game where I have set up a sample 3-trainer contest, 1 Pokemon each, of course. And then we're going to play through that contest example to show you how they work. Now, there is an example in the core rulebook, which is pretty good, but I find that playing through it and maybe seeing it may help some of you understand the rules better, because the rules for contests can be a little confusing the first time you read through them. I've put in, what is it now? I think 2 or 3 contests in my game, and we still have to reference the book several times during just to make sure we understand it all, make sure we're doing it right. My friend that is playing in my game has also created a fantastic tool that I will show you that has really helped us to track our Pokemon contest results through the varying turns and varying rounds. But we're going to talk about all that here soon. A note on that, though, my friend has given me the permission to showcase this tool in the video. As for distribution, I haven't really talked to him yet. He's kind of on the fence because he did create it basically just for us to play in our private little game. But if anyone is interested in this tool, I can speak with my friend directly and see if he is willing to let me share it with you. If you do decide that you do want it, please put a comment down below saying that you would like access to this. I'm not guaranteeing that you'll get it, but if I do get some interest in it, I'll talk with my friend. Then at the end, I'm going to show you a couple of classes that I believe will really enhance your character's ability to perform well in contests with some of the abilities and features and things that they give that can really help you out. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get over into the core rulebook and let's take a look at the section on Pokemon contests. Alright gamers, so here we are in the core rulebook PDF. If you have one and you're following along, page 261, chapter 8, Pokemon contests. I will say the art right there, top notch. I think it's great. Gives you a real good sense of Pokemon contests. Very beautiful Pokemon. He's got his microphone, his cards. He's very, very suave, right? That's what you need to do well in contests. So the first page kind of talks about the contest circuits, differences with battling, this the kind of stuff you can read on your own. One thing you do gain is, so like when you battle gyms, you get gym badges. When you perform in contests and you win, you get contest ribbons. Now there's a whole slew of ways that you can run your contests. But one of the things to say is down here, this last section is normally you normally need 5 ribbons to qualify to compete in, say, like the grand festival contest or whatever you're doing in your game, right? So as an example, what I'm doing in my game, we have like our gym challenge, right? My 4 gyms, collect the badges. You're going to make your way to the Pokemon League. There's going to be a big tournament, like team versus team. The top team that wins gets to face off against the current Elite 4. If they defeat the current Elite 4, they become the new Elite 4, right? Some of the biggest celebrities in my region. There's no like Pokemon champion, one person like in the video games, just because I don't want to have that kind of, I don't want to say like animosity, but I want like the team to succeed as a team and then be recognized as a team instead of like getting the team gets up there and then one person in the end gets to the top. So I don't want other people to feel bad. So I just left it as, all right, you're going to be the new Elite Four. So you're going to be like celebrities. You'll be going around doing speeches. You'll be going around doing autograph signings, all kinds of stuff, right? Think about like you're like a big sports team, but in my game, you're 4 people. All the stuff you do, right? To go alongside my gym challenge, I also have our contest challenge. So you're going to, as they go to certain towns, have big contest halls. And if they compete and if they win, they gain ribbons. And now you're going to need, I think I've set it for like 5 or 6 ribbons that you're going to need to be able to take place in the final, like the grand contest that's going to take place several days before the big tournament to see who becomes the new Elite Four. So they're going to try to collect as many ribbons. Now, this is one of those things, like maybe not all of my players are going to be able to do well enough to get enough ribbons to get in there. This is something that you as GMs are going to have to decide how you're going to handle it. Maybe you set the requirement a little lower so they all have a higher chance of getting in, 2 or 3. But I kind of want to use it as a way, like, this isn't just something to kind of do on the side that you can just kind of just push through and win. It's varying levels of difficulty. Right, so obviously as the Pokemon that the players have increased in level, they're going to get access to better moves. Their stats are going to be better, so they're going to have more contest stats and things like that. They're going to have more money to buy more fashion items, to give them more boost, right? Just like you would in battling, the higher level they gain, the more held items they get, the more vitamins they take, the stronger they get. Contests are the same way. I want them, if they want to really do it, they're going to have to put the work and effort and time into these Pokemon to make them good enough to compete with other people that you would believe would be serious about partaking in these contests. So by the time they get to the end, right, all the other Pokemon that they're going to be facing that the other trainers have they're going to be maxed on Poffins, which we'll talk about here in a minute. They're going to have good contest stats. They're going to have all their fashion and dress-up stuff and all of their different abilities that are just really going to make it a good challenge to win that big contest at the end, right? And there's a lot of good experience to be had along the way for all the Pokemon that participate. So it's a good thing to have as a secondary option beside from battling in gyms and wild encounters for players to gain experience and to role play through and to maybe create their character. They're like a contest connoisseur, right? They have like the beautiful Pokemon. They put all the time and effort. Maybe battling is not their thing, right? This gives them an option as well to shine instead of everyone having to focus on one aspect. They can focus on a different aspect, or they can split. It's really all up to them. But it's something as you as GM specifically are going to have to talk with your players about, is this something that you want in the game? Do you want to put the time and effort into creating these contests and all your different rules and things like that? Or is it just kind of something the player's going to be like, nah, not really my thing. If your players don't want it, just skip it. Saves you a lot of time and headache. I decided to add it initially as just a kind of like a teaser. Hey guys, you want to partake in a contest? Oh yeah, sure, whatever, right? They played through one. They got some pretty good rewards. One of the players actually won like the top prize, and I gave away some decent experience and some items and some other stuff, right? They were like, wow, this is pretty cool, right? They got to the next city. The last session that I had was about a 6-hour session, was just playing through basically like the beginning of the contest circuit. So like the first little contest they did was kind of like a, I don't know, preseason or whatever I decided to call it, just to see if they were interested. If they were like, nah, it's not my thing, I'd been like, okay, well, it's going on, but it's in the background. If you guys want to partake, cool, let me know. I can come up with stuff, but they were kind of into it, so I had to put the work into that as well. Not only do I have to put the work in the contests, I have to do the gyms, and I have to do all the other stuff. So it is a lot of work for you GMs out there that plan to add this. It's just going to take more time. But if you do it well, your players are going to feel really rewarded in the end. All right, now with my little rant there out of the way, so let's go ahead and get into the rules themselves. So 262 talks about your contest stats. This whole page is super important. You're going to want to read through all of this probably several times. When I did my first little contest, I had all my players, okay, we got the page open, we're reading through it, we're all going to learn it together kind of thing. Hopefully this video is really going to help those of you out there that are maybe struggling, or maybe you've not really thought about contests, but after you see how it works and how it plays, you're like, oh, this could be kind of cool. So what you need to know, your contest stats are derived from your basically battling stats, right? So that's what this section right here is. So like attack equals cool, defense equals tough, special attack, beauty, things like that. So how it's derived is for every 10 points, which is what this section right here is. For every 10 points of the matching combat stat, the Pokemon has +1 contest dice in the correlating stat, to a maximum of 3 dice at 30. So even if your attack stat is like 60, you still only get 3 cool dice. Now we're going to talk about what the dice are used for here momentarily. Now the next section here, this talks about Poffins, like I mentioned before. Poffins are like a special type of vitamin that you can give your Pokemon. May consume 1 Poffin, plus 1 more for every 5 levels. They gain up to a maximum of 6 total Poffins at 25. Now, what you do, Poffins are not like just like a generic Poffin. You can consider them that, but there's like cool Poffins or tough Poffins. Basically, if I'm going to apply a Poffin to the above example of my Pokemon with a attack stat of 60, and he's got 3 cool dice, and if I want him to have more cool dice, I would give him several cool Poffins. So say I give him 2 cool Poffins. That gives him +2 dice. So now he has a total of 5 cool dice. Now, when we go over the example that I've got set up and how all that works, I'm going to show you how the dice are used and what they mean. Just know that the more dice that you have is always good, because basically the dice are like a resource that are spent during the contest. When you roll a move of the matching type, so say they used a move that has the contest effect cool, they can apply a certain number of additional dice on top of what they would normally roll. So, as an example, I'm using a move that's, say, Steady Performance, which lets you roll 5d6 base. Say I really want to throw more dice to try to generate more appeal points, I could apply up to 3 additional dice to that roll. I could have 3 of my 5 dice added, so now I have 2 dice left, but now I get to roll 8d6. We're going to go over all this, how it works, in just a minute, I promise. I'm just giving you like some examples to kind of get it in your brain, so then as we go through these particular points, you're like, oh, that's what he means. Okay? Back over here, this section talks about how certain types of moves kind of correlate to certain contest aspects. Like it says, like fire, ice, and water types are often associated with beauty. Now, this isn't a hard thing. This isn't all fire moves are beauty, all ice moves are beauty. No. Just a lot of times they are. You will need to make sure you notate, like I showed you in the Pokemon creation video, the little description box for your move in Roll20. I put the contest type and effect in the top of that box, and then I put what the move does. So when you roll the move in your chat, it'll show you what it does, just so you and everyone else can see as well, and you've got it notated there. Also, there is that section in your character sheet that has like your contest stats, your different boxes for your different types. That's where you're going to want to track your maximum number of dice. Make sure you have that ready, because if you get into a contest and you don't have that, now you got to have a little downtime to get it all calculated and things like that. Just as you go, like as you're doing your book work at the end or maybe before a game, make sure all that stuff is calculated through so you're ready. It does say here, there's like this cool little graphic here, shows you the the grid of moves. What this means is that each stat has 2 allied and 2 opposing stats. So like cool is allied with tough and beauty, but is opposed by smart and cute. So basically what means that if it's a cool contest, because normally what happens is when you go into a contest, the GM is going to determine what type of contest it is. Cool, tough, cute, beauty, smart. If you roll a move that is the same as the contest type, you get an additional dice. If it's allied, it's a wash, right? No pluses or no minuses. But if you use a move that is opposed to that contest type, in this example, cool, if I used a smart or cute move, I roll 1d6 less. So this is where you're going to want to go in when you're choosing moves and things like that for your Pokemon. If you want to build it for a contest type, you're going to want several Pokemon that maybe you build with like cool in mind or beauty. Doesn't mean all their moves have to be that, but I would definitely, like if you really want to get into it like meta-wise, so say you have like a Sylveon as an example, and you want this to be your beauty Pokemon. So have a couple of moves that are contest type beauty, and then the other moves should probably be either cool or cute. So then you don't take any penalties. Now it doesn't mean that you shouldn't include smart and tough, because each move has 2 attributes. It's got its type and its effect. We're going to go over all the effects here in just a few, but just know some of the effects may do well to enhance maybe the next round, the next move you do, or it could sabotage other contestants next to you to give them penalties, right? There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into contests. So it's one of those things you're going to have to play through several of them to kind of understand how it goes. And then as you're choosing moves and learning TMs, you're like, okay, this is what this does. This is what there's a lot of work to it. Just know that going into it. All right, so like I mentioned before, so this section right here, this is where it tells you, so when you use a move with the appropriate contest stat, so as in our example, cool, if I use a cool move, I may use up to 3 of my Pokemon's cool contest dice to add the same amount of extra d6 to the appeal roll. Basically what you're doing in contests is you go out there and your Pokemon does a move, and it really it's kind of like showing off, right? And each move has a contest effect. It's the effect is going to determine how many dice you start with, and then you can use either your own as the trainer's contest dice, or your Pokemon's contest dice, or a combination of the two, but no more than 3 extra dice may be added in this fashion. Example, say my Pokemon has 2 cool dice left, and I have 1 cool dice myself as the trainer. I can add my 1 and my Pokemon's 2 for a total of 3. Okay? And that's what this right here says. So if you have 4 d6 and cool stat, you can add up to 3d6 to the roll. On the following round, you'd use another cool move. You could then add your last 1d6 to that roll. It says it's important to time your extra dice when you think you're going to be able to get the most out of them. This is also one of those things too. Timing is everything in contests, which I'm gonna kind of go over, but there's so much to it. This video would be like 3 hours long, maybe 4, if I was to go over every little nuanced thing about contests. You're going to want to really read this section and then look at all the moves, understand what the contest effect does, and how those work and correlate with your Pokemon and your stats and all that other stuff to make the best possible Pokemon for contests. All right, next page, 263. This talks about the different types of contests, right? You can kind of run them however you want, but these are some of the examples of the pretty popular ones. Standard contest, right? You show up at the contest hall. They're like, hey, today we're doing a beauty contest or a smart contest. You're like, okay, cool. Let me get out my beauty Pokemon that has, that I've set up with my moves that are going to help me benefit in that type of contest, or my smart, whatever. There's a super contest, which is what I ran my last game. I had 12 people in the contest, so my 4 players and then 8 NPCs. I divided the players and the NPCs into basically 3 4-round contests, and then the top 2 from each of those went into a single 6-person contest at the end. Which then what I did there, I used the super contest rules. So round 1, I rolled a d6 and I determined, okay, round 1 is going to be smart. We play through round 1. All right, round 2 is I rolled again. Oh, this was going to be tough. All right, cool. And then we played through again, and then I don't remember exactly how it went, but I could have rolled, oh, it's going to be tough again, or smart, or cute, whatever, right? Basically, it kind of randomly determines what type of contest is going to be the prominent type to gaining those bonuses that we just talked about. And this is one of those really, like, how well can you adapt to a changing battlefield, so to speak. It was rough for some of the players, because some of their Pokemon maybe weren't good at, I think it was cute or something, but some of them struggled there. But when it came around to getting into like cool, or some of them had some really good Pokemon with moves and they had done things to make their cool stat better, they really shined there and gained a lot of points. Then it talks about the festival, right? You can read through this yourself. Basically, just as GMs, right, determine how you're going to run your contest, how you're going to determine what type of contest it is, how many rounds you're going to play, how many NPCs you're going to run. A note, when you add more NPCs, you basically have to create additional trainers and additional Pokemon that you would then give Poffins and all this other stuff to be able to play against your players. But it's a good idea, so it's not always your players playing against each other. There's like other people there as well that they can either be beaten by or that they can beat in the contest as well. Plus you gain more experience as well. And we'll talk about experience rewards at the end. So there's 2 sections to contests. There's the introduction stage. Introduction stage is when you as the trainer, you're going to come out there and you're going to bring out your Pokemon, you're going to introduce yourself, introduce your Pokemon, however you want to role play that. Mechanics wise, basically what you're going to do, you're going to choose one of your stats: Charm, Command, Guile, Intimidate, or Intuition. You're going to roll 1d6 for each rank of the chosen skill. So say as an example, I have Command, and I'm Adept, so I have 4d6. I'm going to choose Command, I'm going to roll my 4d6. I'm going to look at those dice. Anything that's a 3 plus, 3 or more, is going to gain me 1 die in a contest stat that may be used during this contest. So if I choose Command rolls generate cool dice. So this section right here is going to tell you what each of those skills that the trainer has, what contest stat they generate. So I get out there and I roll my 4 dice, and we'll use this example right here. Say I roll a 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? This is going to give me, as the trainer, 4 cool dice to put in my pocket that I can then use along with my Pokemon, or if my Pokemon doesn't have any cool, right? I have cool dice that it can roll to try to get additional points so it's not as behind, right? Then it says here, experienced trainers can also make use of held items and grooming that you can use then to give you additional rolls, get more contest dice, things like that. There's several items in the item section that are specifically geared toward contests. You're going to want to look at those. Mostly the contest fashion items and the contest accessories give you either rerolls during your rolls during the actual contest. So say I make my appeal roll and I roll poorly. Some items may let me re-roll those dice, or I can re-roll ones or whatever it is, right? Then other ones can potentially allow me as the trainer, like if I have like fancy clothes on, I'm wearing a nice suit and tie, or you're wearing a nice dress or a cool hat or whatever, right? Could let you roll additional dice to see if you as the trainer generate additional contest dice. I know it sounds all convoluted, but when we get to the example, I'm going to play through every single step of this, and you're going to see it in action. All right, so this section here, right, the whole left side, this is kind of like what you need to know. This is the nuts and bolts of what's going to go on in the actual contest when you're making your rolls and trying to generate appeal points to try to win, okay? But first we're going to talk about the performance stage first, and then we'll touch on this. The performance stage, this is where you and your Pokemon are now going to go out there, and you're going to have your Pokemon perform moves, and you're going to roll dice to try to generate appeal points. Basically, it's simple, right? You try to gain more appeal points than everybody else in the contest to win. Okay? Now, this section here at the beginning of the performance stage, right? What happens is during the introduction stage, when everyone rolls their stat that they choose, you as the GM, you need to notate, okay, this is how many dice that they generated. Now, the person with the highest amount of generated dice starts in slot A. Right, so say you're doing a 3-person contest, we're going to have contestant A, B, and C. The person that generated the highest amount of dice, A, second lowest, B, so on and so forth. Okay? So what this is going to do then, this is going to determine where you are placed in the chart that we're going to go over here in a second of when you get to roll to see if you generate appeal points and who's center of attention or not. And then during each round of the performance, each Pokemon performs a move from their move list and uses its contest effect to gain appeal points. You may not use the same move twice in a row during a contest. The only caveat to that is some moves have the reliable contest effect. They may be used consecutively. So like turn 1, 2, 3. You can use it consecutively if you want to. You do not need to pay attention to the normal battling frequencies of moves. So like say you have like an every other turn move, right? Or daily. That doesn't matter. You just know that say turn 1 or round 1, I use a move with a daily frequency. Next turn, so round 2, I can't use it. Round 3, I could use it again if I wanted to. Okay? Moves are declared in turn order, which is specified on the next page based on the position of the contests. So what I have them do, so I just have, okay, everyone tell me what move you're going to use. So the reason why you do it like that is so like say you don't just go out there and just start rolling. So say the first person, they're going to, oh, okay, I'm going to use this. You're like, well, okay, then the person at the very end then gets to see what everyone else is doing and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to use, right? So what I have my players do, I have them like, okay, I want everyone to look at their moves. I want everyone to select their move. Don't tell me yet. Once everyone's got it, I'm like, okay, I want everyone to tell me what move they're going to use. And I'll write it down in order on my piece of paper over here. Just so I know that no one is like, okay, well, he's using this and he's using that. And that's going on over there. And I got this. A lot of other stuff, right? This section here says if a move matches the contest type of the contest, as an example, a cool contest using a cool move, you roll an additional d6. If it's an allied stat, it's neutral. If it's an opposed contest stat, you get minus 1d6. That's what this right here is. For example, in a cool contest, using a smart or cute move will cause you to roll 1 less dice. If this causes you to roll no dice, you instead gain 1 fumble point. We're going to talk about fumble points here in just a second. Okay, real quick, I went to page 265. This is what I'm talking about, these position charts. Now, they only have a 3, 4, and a 5 round position chart. So that means you have 3 players, 4 players, or 5 players. So if you want to do 6 or 8, right, instead of one big one, you'd have to basically break it down to 2 3s or 2 4s or however. Just know that these position charts are very crucial to how contests work, okay? So let's talk about appeal points. We've mentioned it several times. Appeal points are what you're trying to generate when you roll your dice for your moves. So when you are not center of attention, so let's go back to this page. So yellow here, this is who is center of attention. So basically think about it. So like in round 1, so player A comes out and they're kind of like, they're the center of attention. All the judges and everybody's kind of got their eye on this person. They're watching everybody else as well, right? But this is really where you're going to shine, right? So anything you do really well is going to give you additional appeal points, but any kind of mistakes you make are going to give you what are called fumble points. Fumble points are basically calculated as you gain them. Then at the end, when you're tallying your score, you subtract your number of fumble points from your total appeal points earned. That new number is now your total contest score. All right, so back to here. So when you're not center of attention, right? So when you roll a 1, you gain no points on your dice. If it's a 2, 3, 4, or 5, gives you 1 appeal point. If you roll a 6, you gain 2 appeal points. So basically anything but 1s gives you appeal points, which is good, right? Which is what you want. You don't want to gain fumble points. Fumble points are bad. But when you are center of attention, the stakes are raised. 6s grant you 3 appeal points. 4s and 5s gives you 2. 3s give you 1. 2s give you no appeal points. And rolling 1s give you fumble points. And like I just explained, fumble points are subtracted from your appeal points for your total appeal at the end. So you need to know when you're going to be center of attention. So if you're top of the list, so if you're contestant A, round 1, you're center of attention. This is going to be your turn where you're going to probably going to earn the most amount of appeal points. So you're going to want to use your best move that's going to let you roll the most dice. But just know the more dice you roll, the higher potential to roll more 1s as well. So you can potentially earn more fumble points there. But then on the reverse side, you can potentially roll more 6s, the same statistically to roll a 1 as it is a 6. You can get 3 appeal points. So more dice is always better. It's just a gamble, okay? Now we talk about voltage. Voltage is basically like the energy that you're kind of like hyping the crowd up, right? So as you gain voltage, it starts at 0, and you can have a maximum of 5. Some moves will raise your voltage. So that means you're using moves that are very flashy, or maybe you're really catching the crowd's eye and they're really rooting for you, or however you want to role play it out, right? Basically, on your turn, when you use your move, however many points of voltage you have, you roll that many more d6. Example, I'm going to roll that steady performance cool move in a cool contest, right? So I'm a cool contest, a cool move, gives me 1 extra d6 because it's the matching type. Steady performance gives me 5d6 base, so now I'm at 6d6. And say I've got 3 voltage. I add 3 additional d6 because of my voltage, 9d6. This is my turn now where maybe I'm center of attention. I want to roll more dice. I will use 3 cool dice. Now I'm throwing 12d6. This is my turn. I'm really just I'm going to go all out, and I'm going to put on the best show that I can to try to generate as many points as I can. Now 12d6 can score me a lot of appeal points, but it could also score me a lot of fumble points. So just be ready for those 1s to show up. So this is where you're going to want those abilities for rerolls or whatever you can do to kind of mitigate fumble points. Because we had one round in my game where 2 contestants were basically their total appeal after calculating in their fumble was the same. So it was a tie for the winner. But one person had 1 more fumble point than the other. I think one guy had 2, the other guy had 3 fumble points. So I was like, well, this is where I'm going to make the tiebreaker. Whoever has more fumble points is going to lose. Or whoever has the least would win, however you want to rationalize it, right? Now you're like, well, what if there's a still tie there? You can come up with however you wanted to do it. If there would have been a tie, I would have just done maybe 1 more round with those 2. Or basically 2 more rounds. 1 where they're center of attention, and then 1 where they're not center of attention, right? So they each basically get 2 more rolls. They're each center of attention 1 more time, and then we'd look at the score again. Then obviously if it's a tie, who's got the least amount of fumbles, the winner. If it's another tie, We do it again. Now this is obviously highly unlikely, right, to be able to continue to tie, but it can happen. So be ready, GMs. Plan ahead of what happens if all of your other fail-safe tiebreakers fall through. What are you going to do to determine a winner? So real quick, page 266, this is going to tell you all of the contest effects that are associated with basically any move in the game has one of these contest effects. So as an example that we've talked about before, steady performance. This lets me roll 5d6 base, and I gain +1 voltage. So maybe for those of you that are starting out, if you have moves that have steady performance, this is a good way, turn after turn after turn, as long as it's not the same move you're using, right? So you'd have to have 2 moves with steady performance to gradually generate points over time. Then obviously, each consecutive turn, right, you have more and more voltage, you're rolling more and more dice. So say you're in like a 5-player contest, and the first 4 turns you use steady performance. By the time you get to round 5, you've got 4 voltage, you're rolling 4 additional d6, and then if you use steady performance, you've got 96. You could throw 3d6 of your own, plus if it matches the type, you can roll a lot of dice right there, right? Now, there are moves that roll less dice, but maybe gain lots of voltage, like Big Show. There's also moves that will sabotage. Like Sabotage, you roll 3d6. All dice you roll do not give you any points. Instead, they give all adjacent competitors that many fumble points. So when you look at this chart, what this means, so let's look at turn 1, round 3. Player B. So player B is going to use a sabotage move. So they're going to roll 3d6 plus any other bonuses or penalties that they have. Then they're not center of attention here, so we go here. So basically anything 2 or more is going to gain them appeal points. Say as an example, they generate 3 appeal points. What's going to happen is they're not going to gain any points at all, but they're going to give player A and player C 3 fumble points. Now this is one of those ones, like, when should you use this kind of thing? It's kind of up to you, right? Do you use it if I'm way ahead and I really want to crush the opposition? Or am I behind a little bit? Like if I'm behind A and C, do I want to try to sabotage them to either even us out or give me that slight edge? Because you're not going to get any points from that. They're just going to gain fumble points, right? So look at your moves, look at your contest effects, understand what they do, how many dice they roll, and all the rules and stuff like that before you're going into a contest, so you're adequately prepared. Now, between rounds, right, it's going to be one of them things like when you're playing like a card game or board game, and it's like, okay, I've got different options. What am I going to use? How many points do you have? What is everybody else's score at, right? Do I need to make a big push here? There's a lot of strategy that's going to go into this that you're really going to have to focus on if you want to come out on top. Okay, I've talked enough about what's going on in here in the rules. Let's go over into my Roll20 game. Let's get us a little contest going here. We're going to just quickly roll through it so you can see how it all works. And I'm going to show you this tool that my friend has created to help us out. All right, gamers, so here we are. This is my Roll20 map that I've got, my contest map. So I've got my 3 players. I've got the 3 Pokemon that they're going to use. I've got their character sheets basically minimized right here for the Pokemon, so I can quickly access their moves. So you get everybody out here on the board that you want. Have them get out their Pokemon. Now first we need to determine what type of contest we're going to use. What I'm going to use is, let's go back here right quick. I'm going to use right here, this section right here. I'm going to roll a d6, and this is going to determine the type of contest we're going to use in this example, okay? So let's just throw us a d6 here. 2. What does that get us? 2. 2 is tough. So this is a tough contest. So that you're going to want to make sure you note down. So we write that down on our paper over here. So now your trainers have to do the introduction phase. Basically, they're going to come out, introduce themselves, their Pokemon. They're going to choose a stat to roll to see how many contest dice for the trainer they're going to generate. Now, what happens is, if you choose to roll your stat that matches the contest type, let's go back here. So tough is determined by intimidate. So if your players decide to roll intimidate, what's going to happen, since it matches the contest type, they're going to begin the contest with 2 bonus appeal points. So for this example, we're just going to have all 3 trainers. They're going to roll their intimidate, and I'm going to give them 4d6 in this stat, just as an example so you can see how it goes. So we will start with Vust here. He's going to roll 4d6. He's going to roll his intimidate stat. It's 46. Pretty good. So remember, anything that is a 3, 4, 5, or 6 is going to generate 1 contest dice. So I got a scrap piece of paper over here. I'm going to make these notes. So Vust he rolled 3, 6, 6, 6. So he's going to have 4 tough dice himself. Okay. Next, my character Jezebel here, she's going to roll her 46. So she gets, see, she only gets 2. Because remember, it's 3 or more generates 1 dice. So she only gets 2 tough dice because she rolled 2 5s. And then Aurelia here at the end, she's going to get 3. And then they all get the bonus appeal. So since they all rolled the matching type of tough, which was intimidate, they all get +2 appeal. So now what I'm going to do, we're going to go over here and I'm going to show you this tool that my friend has made to help us out. All right, so here we are. Now, I kind of had to shrink it down a little bit here, just so, because the camera's in the way or whatever, so I'm not blocking the stuff. I'll just kind of quickly run you through what my friend has done here. So my friend has basically created everything you need, all the reference stuff, pretty much that you need, in this chart. So now he's created 3 contestants, 4 contestants, 5 contestants, and he worked out the pattern for 6 contestants. Now he said it took him several days looking at the pattern, because the rule is that each contestant may only be adjacent to each other contestant exactly twice. So like when you look at, say, the 3 contestant, as you can see, right, red is adjacent to orange twice. Once here, right? Now the 5 contestant, because this is in the book, right? Now 6 contestant adds the purple line, as you can see here, how it's all figured, right? He's next to this blue color once, twice, this kind of stuff. So now how this sheet works here is what we do. So right up here this is where you're going to put your contestants by letter grade, right? So your A, B, C, D that we talked about earlier. So now this is based on who generated the most dice. We look at our sheet here. So it looks like Vust generated 4. So he would go in here. Vust would go in there. And then as you can see, as we put it in, it also then populates it into the charts for us based on its color. Next looks like Aurelia. And then but Jezebel was there. Okay? Because Aurelia generated 3, Jezebel generated 2. So Vust had 4, Aurelia had 3, Jezebel had 2. This is their contest order. This is permanent right here. Static. Then as you can see, this is your positioning chart. And this is your turn order, right? Because how he's done it. Because obviously it's kind of the same chart. But what he's done, it's like round 1, turn 1, 2, 3. Because sometimes this can be, like when you look at this here, your position chart, look how right, it can get kind of confusing, right? Where round 4, it goes turn 1, and then it's turn 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, right? So what he's done here is just so we know, turn 1, whoever's in turn 1 on each round is going to be center of attention. So that's what this right here is as well, right? So round 1 is going to be Vust, Aurelia, Jezebel. basically based on how they're organized up here initially. And then you look at round 2, then round 3, it changes, right? It cycles through. Now, down here, he's got our scoreboards. So where we could put in our starting appeal. So since everybody gained 2 appeal points in the beginning from matching the type, we would put this in here. Okay. Also here as well, we've got, if you're not center of attention, this is what the roll equals and then how many points it generates you. And then if you're center of attention, right here. Also right here, this gives you your dice generation for your trainers during the introduction phase. So, right, command is cool, intimidate's tough, all this, right? And then he's got matching colors to go combat stats. So this is for your Pokemon, right? So the Pokemon's defense equals tough dice, speed equals cute dice, okay? This tells you right here in this box how these combat stats are generated base. And then you've got these sections right here that have more rules. So skill matching the contest of a standard contest begin with bonus of 2 appeal points. And then each dice that comes up with 3, 4, 5, or 6 gain 1 contest stat. Dice. This also the section about using hell items and grooming to make them generate more dice or whatever. Then it talks about voltage as well right here. So you have this rule right here referenced. So this is pretty much everything you need to understand what's going on. Now, up here, this is an interesting part. You have your contest effects. So you're like, wow, this is great. It just shows us what each one is. Well, what you do, if you highlight over it, this tells you what it does. So exhausting act, right? It gives you 46. And then if you have 2 or more voltage, you roll an extra 2d6. Then at the end of the round, you lose 2 voltage, right? I'm going to use steady performance. Right? Tells me I get 5d6 and I gain 1 voltage, right? So any one of your contest effects are right here for easy access. Now you can't click on them, right? But it's just you basically highlight over it, shows you what it does. Okay? So now that we've got this figured out, let's go back over here. So basically, how you could do it is like you could, if you wanted to, you could move everybody around every round, so you know who's going first, first, second, third, right? So for now, we're just going to put them like this for round 1. Eventually, you could just be like, have everybody's tokens on the screen here so they can see the map, and then if you want to move them around, cool, or if you just want to roll it, play through it that way. But if you're doing a smaller game like this, then you could just move everybody around, or it could be, maybe this person gets to move up or whatever, right? Whoever's center of attention, however you want to do it, right? But for now, we're just going to leave them like this. So if we look at our contest tracker, so round 1, turn 1 is Vuss, Aurelia, then Jezebel. So let's look at what Vuss is going to have his Missy do here. So let's say we're going to use... So now remember, we're in a tough contest. So if we go back over here, even right here, he's put in the little matrix. So tough is allied with cool and smart, opposed by beauty and cute. So keeping that in mind, we're going to go over here. So we've got a smart move. Oh, we got a tough move, and it's reliable. So she'll use round this turn. I got to write all this down. So she's going to use round. All right. So she'll use round this turn. So I'm just going to roll it right quick here in the chat so we can see it, just so it's there for us. Aurelia, let's see, move their sheets where they need to be here. Her Mr. Sandman here, her Machoke, what is he going to do? Now he should have a lot of tough or cool moves, like low kick. So here's a good one. We're going to start low kick. It's tough, so it matches the contest type, steady performance. So we're just going to roll it in the chat as well. And then Jezebel under pressure here. What is it going to do? See, this is where you got to look at, okay, your type. Does it match? Does it not? Is it allied? And then what your effect does. I know what a lot of the effects do, but I don't know what all of them do. Now remember, we're opposed in this contest by beauty and cute. So beauty and cute, maybe not the best moves to use, but if you need the reference, so like, okay, Beauty, it's opposed, but what does double time do? We go over here, we look at double time. You're gonna roll X number of D6. What happens is you lose 2 voltage, then you roll 1d6 for every point of voltage competitors adjacent to you have, minus 1d6 for each point of voltage you have remaining. So even though this is like opposed, so you're going to get minus 1d6, this could still roll a lot of dice if everybody's generating a lot of voltage, right? But we're in turn 1, so nobody's got any voltage. We will use... So she's going to use, we'll say, Confuse Ray. All right, so we've got the moves we're going to use. So it's going to round, low kick, Confuse Ray. So round is tough and reliable. So we go back over here. So reliable lets us roll 3d6. And then if you use the same move last turn, you roll an additional d6 and you gain 1 voltage. Moves with reliable may be used consecutively. So we start with 3d6. We're in turn 1. So now remember, Bus is center of attention here. There's this column right here, right? So basically, if you look at the turn order, whoever's in turn 1, each round is who's center of attention. So he's going to roll 3d6. And now, round is tough for center of attention. So we're really going to try to want to generate some points here. So he's got his 4 tough dice that he can use. So let's see if Missy has any tough dice. She has a defense of 10, so she should have at least 1 dice. So she's got 1 dice she can use. Well, what he's going to do, he's going to use 3 of his tough dice. He's going to go down to 1. So we get 3d6 from reliable, right? 3d6 from reliable. We use 3 of his dice for 6d6, and it does match the contest die for 7d6. So now normally I rant about my dice bag, but the reason why I like to use this right here for it is because it rolls all the dice individually where it's easy to see. So I go here, so we roll solid 7d6. See what we get. Ooh. So now we look over here. We're center of attention. So 1s equal fumble, 2s are nothing, 3s give 1 point, 4s and 5s get 2, 6 gives 3. So let's calculate it. So we've got 2 fumble points because we got 2 1s. We've got a 4 and a 5, so that's 2 points, 4 points. A 3 gives us 1, so 5. 2 6s for a total of 6 more points. So that's 11 appeal points and 2 fumble. Okay, then we just plug it in right there, calculates everything for us. All right, so now we're going to go back over here to Aurelia. So she's using low kick. So low kick is tough with steady performance. Now we talked about that before. Steady performance, 5d6, and we get 1 voltage. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in the voltage now. It doesn't take effect, so we don't get the dice right now because we didn't have it at the start of the round. But we get 5d6, and it matches the type for plus 1d6. So we get a total of 6d6. She's got 3 tough dice. Excuse me. Let's see what Mr. Sandman's got. So Mr. Sandman, let's see if he's been calculating. Ooh, he's got... Let's see what his defense is. So his defense is 13, so he gets 1 base. But now you see here he's fed it 2 tough poffins for a total of 3 dice right here. So she's got 3 and he's got 3. Now the question begs here is like, does he use any now? Or do we wait until we're center of attention? Because remember, we only have 3 rounds. And you don't want to leave any of your dice on the table. Because they're just basically extra points that you could potentially not have gotten. So we're going to go ahead and throw her 3 tough dice on top of this. So that's 5d6 base, matching the contest type for plus 1, plus 3d6 from from her tough dice that she generated at the beginning of the round. So that's for a total of 9d6. So we're going to go back here. Reroll. All right, that's cool. No 1s, which is good. Now remember, we are not center of attention with her. So basically anything that's 2 or more is going to generate us 1 point, but 6s give us 2. So let's calculate. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's not a bad roll. 10 appeal points for not being center of attention. Okay. Now, Jezebel, using Confuse Ray, it's smart and it's unsettling. So smart is allied to tough, so we don't get the +1 bonus, but we also don't get the -1. Unsettling, though, 5d6, and then each adjacent competitor loses 1 voltage, and she would lose 2, but she doesn't have any. All right? So let's look at the turn order here. So she is only adjacent right now to Vus. The position chart has to be referenced along with the turn order. So if Vus would have had any voltage, he would have lost any. He didn't. Because obviously she wouldn't have known what move he was going to be using, right? Because we all kind of determined at the same time. But let's look at that. Unsettling is 5d6. She doesn't have any voltage to lose. It's smart for no bonus. Okay? So that's going to give us 5d6. And let's look at number pressure. Does he have any smart dice? He does. He's got at least 1. What is tied to smart? Special defense. Let's double check. See, this is where I can go back and make sure my players are doing it. Oh, see, special defense is now 20, so he should have 2 smart dice right here. This is why it's important, like, as you're leveling up and adding points, once you're done there, then you come down here. He's also given 2 smart poppins, so technically there's a total of 4 right there. So, do we use some dice now? Because remember, right, we can't throw Jezebel's tough dice on it because it's not a tough move. We can only use the Pokemon smart dice. So, you know what, we're going to use 2 of those. So I'm just going to make a note so I don't mess with the character sheet. So 2 smart dice. So that's going to give us a total of 76. So 5 from Unsettling. We don't get any because we're allied. Plus the 2. So let's roll 76 here. See what we get. Okay. Now remember, we're not center of attention. So 1s don't really hurt us. 2 through 5 give us 1 point each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She gets 5 appeal points. It's not bad. Now I just realized, some of you may have already caught it. So we're in a 3-round contest, but he's got rounds 4 and 5 here. I think this was a copy-paste error from the 5 turn when he was doing this right here. So obviously, right, this is something that he's custom created. He's still working on changing and updating and things like that. So I'll make sure that I let my friend know. But just know that we're only going to be going to round 3. We're not going to be using his round 4 and 5 for this. So this will be good. So if you guys want this, if I can get him to let you guys have it, well, I'll get him to fix that beforehand. Okay? So at the end of round 1, so we're looking at 13 to 12 to 7. All right? Pretty close. So now let's look at round 2. So this is our position chart. So Aurelia is going to be center of attention. So it's going to be turn 1 is Aurelia, turn 2 will be Jezebel, turn 3 will be Vus. So let's see what they're going to do. All right, so I went ahead and selected their moves. So Mr. Sandman is going to use Seismic Toss, followed by Jezebel is going to be using Psychic with Under Pressure, and then Vus is going to have Missy use Calm Mind. So let's go up here, Seismic Toss, right? So we're tough, steady performance. So now she is center of attention this turn. So now remember, steady performance, right? We got 5d6, gain 1 voltage. So I'm going to go ahead and track the voltage now. So, but at the start of the round, she had 1 voltage before. So we've got 5d6 base, plus 1 for voltage for 66, matching contest type for 76. She has dice left on Mr. Sandman. So Mr. Sandman has some tough. He's got 3 tough dice, which she is going to use all 3 of those. So I'm just going to make a note here. So now he's out of tough dice, and so is she. But now he's going to roll a total of 10d6. So 5d6 base, plus 1 for voltage, plus 1 for matching contest type, plus 3d6 from Mr. Sandman's dice. So 10d6 at the center of attention. This could be a big turn. Let's see what happens. Sorry, this is a really good roll right there. No ones at all. So now remember, right, she's center of attention, so we reference this chart. Basically, 3s give 1, 4 or 5 is 2, 3s are 6. So let's calculate. So 2s give us nothing. So 3 is 1, 4 is for 2. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then all the 6s give us 3 each. So 3, 6, 9, 12. So 12 plus 7, 19 appeal points. That was a big turn right there. That's a really good roll right there for Aurelia. Really put her in the lead. Jezebel's kind of suffering right here. But now remember, so she's got her turn next, and she's also center of attention on last turn, so don't count her out yet. So she's going to be using Psychic. So it's Smart with Exhausting Act. So we go over here to Exhausting Act. Gives us 46. If she had 2 or more voltage, she would roll an extra 2d6 and then lose 2 voltage. So she has none to gain or lose. So it's 46 base. It's Smart, so we're allied, so we don't get a bonus. So 46 base. But she's not going to use any of her other dice from Umbreon, so she's just going to roll 46. So not a really big turn. You're probably wondering, what's the plan here? How's she going to come back and win this? But that's not bad. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. So she gains 6 appeal. Okay. And now Vuss is using Calm Mind. So Smart with Get Ready. Smart, we're allied. Get Ready only rolls 1d6. He would lose 2 voltage, but next turn he's going to double the number of dice from your move. So this is where you use this, right? You don't gain a lot, but your next turn you're going to roll double dice. Now remember, contest stat, bonus dice, and voltage are not doubled. So as an example, if she uses something with like special attention, it's 5d6 base. It would be 10d6 base. Then you would add voltage and any additional dice you wanted on top. So we're to Get Ready. So it's just the 1d6. We don't get any bonuses from matching, so he's just going to throw 1d6 at it. So this is going to be a low turn for him, but he's really hoping that next turn he's really throwing like all those extra dice is really going to help him come out on top. So at the end of round 2, this is what we look like. 14, 31, 13. So let's go into round 3. All right, for round 3, we've got our moves selected here. So Umbreon's going to use Feint Attack. Missy's using Confusion. Sandman will use Karate Chop. So let's go with Umbreon first. Now remember, Jezebel is center of attention here, so this is her big turn. So she's using a Smart move, so we're allied. We don't get the +1, but it's got the Desperation effect. What does Desperation do? This gives us 5d6. All results of 1 grant an additional fumble point, and all results of 6 grant an additional appeal points. This also stacks with being center of attention. So what does this mean? So now, during this roll, rolls of 1 are going to give her 2 fumble points, but rolls of 6 are going to give her 4 appeal points. She's hoping to roll really well and get a lot of appeal points from 6s. So we're 5d6 base. We've got no match. We're not matching the type, so we don't get any bonuses. It is a Smart move. She's got 2 Smart dice left, so she's going to throw those for 7d6. Oh, sad day. See, this is the gamble. So we get 2s give us nothing. So remember, 3s give us 1. Then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points. It's not bad. Not gonna get us to win. Not gonna get us to win. But will she come in second place? What do you guys think? Next, we've got Confusion coming from Missy here. So Smart, Steady Performance. Now remember, last turn she used Get Ready. So now she's going to double the number of base dice of whatever move. So we've talked about Steady Performance enough. Steady Performance gives us 5d6 base. 10d6 base now. Okay? And now let's look at, does she have any additional Smart dice? So she should have 3. Give her a Smart Poffin. And she's got Special Defense of 20. So 2 base plus 1 for 3. So she's going to throw all 3. So now we're 10d6 plus 3d6, 13d6. This is going to be his big moment, he hopes, to gain some points. Whew, look at that. Now he's not center of attention, so 1s are nothing. 2 through 5 give us 1. So basically we just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 points here. All right, now Aurelia's last here. So she is using Karate Chop. So tough with steady performance. So steady performance 5d6. Tough, we match. So for +1 for 6d6. We've got 2 voltage on her. For 2 more d6. So for 8d6. And then we are all out of extra dice with Aurelia. So we just got the 8d6. So remember, we're not center of attention here, so 1s mean nothing. 2 through 5 give us 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 2 6s for 2 points each for 4, so a total of 9 appeal points. Okay. So at the end, we would tally it up here, and let's look at it, see who win. So Aurelia, obviously, clear winner, 40. Now, Jezebel's got 24 with no fumble. Vuss has 26 with 2 fumble, so he's got a total of 24. So technically, Vuss and Jezebel are tied. Now, my rules, I would give Jezebel the bump up because she has no fumbles, versus Vuss has more, 2. So it would be first place Aurelia, second place Jezebel, third place Vuss. All right, so there we go. We played through a 3-person contest. Went through it pretty quick. We talked about the sheet, how the contest effects work, right? We did our introduction phase where the trainers rolled their stat of choice to generate contest dice. They all chose to roll Intimidate to gain them tough dice because we're doing a tough contest. Then we organized them based on the number of dice they generated there, gave them their contest letter. So starting with the highest as A and then going down the list. We plugged them in. The sheet organizes us all like this. It breaks down our turn order and our position chart so we know who's standing where and next to who. Then we know who goes first, second, third. Okay. We played through all 3 rounds. You can see the totals right here. Just Aurelia had that really big round 2 for 19 when she was center of attention. Right? She didn't get any fumbles and she kept gaining, voltage on the first 2 turns. Really helped push way ahead. Jezebel, obviously you look at Under Pressure. Under Pressure has no tough moves. Beauty, smart, cool, beauty, smart. So we have some allied and then we have some opposed, right? So this is the, what do I do with this, right? I don't have any tough moves. I can't get the extra bonus, but can I still, perform well enough? Sure, well enough. Just well enough to squeak out, second place over Vuss. It was pretty close between these two, Vuss and Jezebel. And then obviously you can see that Aurelia was using a Machoke that has a lot of tough moves, right? It's probably going to generate more because you're going to be rolling the extra dice. Has a lot of the steady performance, gaining voltage over turns, right? Throwing a consistent high number of dice. It was this round right here that kind of maybe hurt Vuss. This round 2 where he used the Get Ready. It was only a single dice. But you can see his next turn, though, he generated 12. He generated more on that round than he did when he was center of attention, right? So that's kind of how you set up your moves, right? Okay, I need a big push. One turn, use a Get Ready. Then next turn, you have a move that gives you a lot of dice. You double it, throw all your extra dice on top, and just hope that you roll really well, right? So I hope this all right here helped you guys to understand this. Now, like I said, there's a lot going on in contests. If it's your first time, that's fine. If you've got questions regarding it, put them down in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer it. But what we're going to do now, I'm going to go back to the rule book. And then we're going to talk about how you would award experience. And then I'm going to give you a couple of class ideas that I think you should take if you really want to focus on making your character and Pokemon better at contests. All right, gamers, so here we are. So back over here in the rulebook, let's talk about contest experience points. Grant Pokemon experiences as if they had defeated X number of Pokemon of their own level, where X is half of the Pokemon they beat in the contest rounded up. So back to our example previously, right? Aurelia, she won, so she beat 2 opponents. So half of that rounded up would be 1. So she beat 1 Pokemon of her level. So she was level 30. Her Pokemon was level 30. So she beat basically 1 level 30 Pokemon. And then you would apply your significance multiplier. We'll say it's a ×2 multiplier. So she would be able to give her Machoke 60 player experience. Now you can think about if you're doing like a 6-person and you win the top slot in that, you basically beat 5 opponents. Half of that rounded up would be 3. And say you're level 30. You basically beat 3 level 30 Pokemon for 90 experience. If you did a ×2 multiplier, 180 experience. That's easily a level, maybe 2, just depending upon where your Pokemon is at. Now, it obviously talks about using higher multipliers if your campaign uses contests like sparingly, or if they're like relatively common. You know, they're going on everywhere and they can, no matter what town they go into, they can come across one. Maybe don't go so high with the significance multiplier, because obviously it's going to be a huge boost of XP if they're doing it like in every town that they get to. You as the GM's got to make the decision on that. I know in my game that I'm running, I'm doing all of my contests right now are at a ×3 multiplier, because they're only in like certain towns where the contest halls are at. And then for my big contest at the end, I'm going to do a ×5 multiplier, you know, for basically like the big contest championship, right? So there's going to be a lot of XP to be gained there. And then they're going to be doing that a couple of days before the big tournament to see who gets to challenge the Elite Four. So that could potentially give them some extra levels on the Pokemon that they're using to kind of maybe give them edge there. But yeah, but that's all for contest. I think I've touched on everything there is to know, at least in some point in this. I hope that the playthrough kind of helped. It also may be worth you GMs, if you really want to get a good grasp of it before you begin playing, is to maybe do what I did, right? Get your player's Pokemon out, make up your chart, or if I am able to share this with you, let me know in the comments below if you would like one, and I'll talk with my friend to see if that's something that I can do. And then basically just plot it out just like I did. Plug it into the chart, because you can use these 3 charts right here, 3, 4, or 5. All right? Just plug it in and just play through a couple contests by yourself so you understand the different phases and how to generate dice and the position chart and turn order and what all the moves do. It's one of these things everybody's going to want to have this open, this page right here, 266, so that you can quickly reference this if you don't have the sheet that I've got that my friend made. But here's what I want to do now. Now I want to go over and talk about a couple of classes that I think your players would probably like to have if they want to make Pokemon Contest something that they really want to get into and really to make them better at. All right, so here we are. The first suggestion I have is the Coordinator. Because the Coordinator specializes not in Pokemon battles, but in contests, right? This is where you're going to want to start with if you want to get into Pokemon Contests, I believe, right? There's a couple of other options here that could give you some other benefits as well. But if you want a good, strong core to being a Pokemon contestant player, this is where you should start, right? Because this gives Coordinator ability. Your Pokemon may reroll a single appeal roll or damage roll. So it's not just about contests, right? This could be used out in the field, you know, out in the gym, right? Rerolling damage rolls. But really, the appeal roll, you get a bad appeal roll where you're center of attention and you roll like 4 ones. You're like, well, I'm going to reroll this. Now, you can only use it once per contest. So most of the time, you're going to want to save it for when you're center of attention or any other time you would deem feasible, right? If you're really close to pushing out, you know, the person in first, and you're the last person to go in the last round of the contest, and you roll like a mediocre roll, use this to re-roll, maybe get a few extra 6s or whatever to try to get those last couple of points to be able to push ahead and win, right? And then it's got a bunch of features here that give you stuff that allow you to perform better. like adaptable performance. Your Pokemon's turn to use a move in a contest. You choose 2 of your Pokemon's moves. Your Pokemon may perform your contest move as if it had the contest typing, so like cool or tough, of one of the chosen moves. As an example, you choose a move that's tough, and you choose an example that's cute. And if it had the effects of the other. Obviously, this allows you to combine 2 moves together to basically kind of create your own contest move out of the effects that those 2 moves have, which is really, really good. This could be really good for a good, strong center of attention roll. If you've got 2 moves that you're like, wow, if I could put these together in some way, I could have this just amazing roll. This is the ability for you. Okay, flexible preparations. You may reallocate up to 2d6 of Poffin-derived contest stat from one contest stat to another. This effect lasts until the end of the day. So as an example, say you're raising up like that Machoke, you gave him some tough dice, you get into the contest, and you're like, oh, it's smart. You're like, well, my guy's not really smart. Well, I'm going to take 2 of his Poffin dice, and I'm going to move it from tough to smart, right? Just so you can kind of give you like a little bit of an edge, so you're not missing out on dice. Because if you're not using all of those tough dice, right, you're just kind of leaving them on the table, right? This will let you move those around to somewhere else where you might be able to use them, okay? The rest of it you can kind of read through. Just know this is all real good stuff right here. Coordinator, contest, approved. All right, so next we've got the style expert. Now, this isn't like specifically deals with like rerolls and all that other stuff, kind of like how Coordinator did. This, though, gives you the ability to choose one of the contest styles, like beauty, cool, smart, whatever. You strive to embody that idea. So let's look at what Style Expert does. So this is the first feature you're going to purchase, right? It does have some pretty good requirements. You need 3 Pokemon with 3d6 and a specific contest stat from Poffins. So you have to give at least, say, 3 Poffins to Tough on one of your Pokemon if you want to be able to be like a Tough style expert. You also need to be Coordinator. You need 1 Pokemon with 3d6 in the said contest stat from Poffins, right? Effect. Your Pokemon gains plus 2d6 to your chosen contest stat. These dice are counted as if coming from Poffins. So this basically gives all of your Pokemon that you've got extra contest stat dice of whatever. So if I'm like a cute style expert, all my Pokemon gain additional cute dice. Now these come from Poffins, right? So you have a max of 6. So if this bonus goes over the number of Poffins, you don't gain any additional benefit because anything over the limit of 6 is just wasted, right? So this can save you having to buy or make Poffins, right, for that particular stat that you want to improve. Now, you can take this class several times, but when you do, you have to choose a different type each time. So you could be like, oh, I'm a tough and smart style expert, right? 2 different instances of it. Now, remember, you only get 4 classes that you can have, so this would be, say, 2 of those. So keep that in mind. Now, some of the things you get, right, you get 2 basic features. You get Style, Flourish, and Style Entertainment, right? Flourish, your Pokemon uses a move of your chosen type. We'll say Tough. Reroll all dice that result in 1s. This effect can only be once per contest, right? So this is great. So you've got this ability to reroll 1s. Coordinator lets you reroll an entire appeal roll, right? So you could reroll an appeal roll on, say, like a bad turn when you're not center of attention. You save this effect for when you're center of attention and you roll a bunch of 1s. You can reroll all the 1s and maybe turn them into 6s or 4s and 5s, right, to get extra points, however you see fit, right? You see what those 2 classes together really give you a boost just from the basic stuff that they give you. Then it also has a battle effect. Target gains +1 combat stage in the stat of your chosen type. So in this example, say smart or tough or whatever. +1 combat stage. And then it tells you like how the different beauty corresponds to special attack and all that other stuff, right? You can just reference that chart that's back in the contest section. Then you go into your different expert features, right? So the beauty, cool, cute, right? You guys can read through all of these at your leisure to see if it's something you'd want to do. But a lot of it's kind of like this. A lot of it's kind of the same thing, like these two right here. So the Cute Cuddle effect is your Pokemon with at least 3d6 in their Cute stat from Poffins can activate Cute Cuddle as a standard action to perform one of the following moves. They must still follow frequency. So basically this gives you a larger pool of moves to pull from. And then obviously the other two are all kind of specific for each different type. So read through this. You know, if this is something that you want to take, go ahead and do so. I recommend this, like if you really want to go into the Pokemon contest like circuit or the route in your games, this is another class that you would definitely want to take. All right, the last class. This one doesn't like specifically give you like hard bonuses to contests like the other ones did with their rerolls and additional move pool that you get to pull from. The reason why I like Fashionista, right? Obviously, it's about fashion, looking good. So this prerequisite 2 of Charm, Command, Guile, Intimidator, Intuition, and Novice, so 3d6. You may craft any Fashionista recipe for which you qualify. The reason why I like this, just if you want to just take it for even just the Fashionista thing. Contest Trends. Basically, this allows you to create contest accessories, fashion item, and fancy clothes. If you go into like the equipment section of the book, you look at the prices listed. Basically, if you have the materials, you can create all of those items at half cost, which is absolutely fantastic. Because fancy clothes are 5,000 Pokédollars, but they give you a pretty cool boost for the trainer during the introduction phase. But this, for the same price, you know, you can outfit 2 trainers, or you could have 2 sets of fancy clothes that give, you know, for different stats or whatever, right? And then all of your accessories and fashion items for half off. So basically, if you're buying one of these would basically allow you to create 2 of them for obviously different stats, right? So you can like change out your Pokemon's wardrobe, change your own, right? Gives you a real benefit there as well. So you can look through the rest of these at your leisure. Another one's really good. Obviously, the first one is like Dashing Makeover. So you can activate Dashing Makeover, choose one equipment or held item you can create. While the feature is bound, the target gains the effect of the chosen item as long as they would normally be able to equip it. They do not need to take up an equipment or item or held item slot to gain this benefit. So you could have this active. It doesn't take up a held item slot, and then you could have another held item as well, right? Which is pretty cool. Then you've got like Versatile Wardrobe, Style is Eternal. Style is Eternal is kind of cool. Like this is mainly for battling, right? If your Pokemon is disarmed or would have their held item removed by moves such as Thief, you're like, nope, I'm going to retain my held item, please. You can use it once per scene per Pokemon, which is pretty good. But yeah, like I said, not like a hard bonus, you know, like the other ones did, but this is going to give you some subtle stuff that you can do to improve your fashion, right? Fashionista. If you compound these 3 classes, or a combination of, say, 2 of them, with all the different items that you can create and the benefits you gain from another, it's really going to give you that leg up over other people that are maybe focusing on battling or, you know, other types of classes that are not really focused on contests. We're out, gamers. So there we are. That is contests in a nutshell. I know it's a lot. I know this video is probably going to be pretty long, but even if you go back to the overview video, one of the team on the development team from this system came and posted comments in the comment section on that video talking about. They even mentioned specifically how like their contest system. I forget exactly the words that they use, right? I would say complex. It's definitely not something that you can just sit down and just be like, oh yeah, this is easy, right? First time around. Some of you may get it just like that, right? Took me a couple of read-throughs, a couple of playthroughs to really get it, understand, because there's a lot of nuanced stuff, understanding how the different moves have the different effects that can potentially affect later turns or affect other people around you. There's a lot of strategy that goes into Pokemon contests. So, GMs, if you're going to include Pokemon contests in your game, just so you know, you've got a lot of work ahead of you. Understanding the rules, getting it all implemented, creating other trainers and challenges that are really going to, like, be a challenge in these contests, so your players don't go in there and just roll some dice and just win, right? Don't make it easy. Just like battles shouldn't be easy, or gym battles shouldn't be easy, or other stuff. It should be a challenge, right? It's going to be a lot of work on your end. Like, I'll tell you that my last game, when I ran like the 12-person contest, I've got 4 players running themselves. I'm running 8 other people. It was a lot going on. I've got a whole notepad. I got 2 pages of notes from that, just notating everything down that the NPCs are doing. Just know that it's a lot of work. Players, I think Pokemon contests are actually kind of fun. It gives you another level of challenge, and one in learning. Second of all, in overcoming in the game to gain additional rewards and experience. Gives you something to do besides wild encounters, battles, fighting your team, whatever, if that's in your game. Not saying any of that is wrong. I'm just saying, if you're looking for, a little detour or something to maybe spice it up, see if the GM will throw in a contest here or there, just to kind of give you something else to do. And I think you're going to like it in the end. Now, I know some of you out there probably still have questions. That's totally fine. If you do, put them in the comments below. I will do my best to go over them and answer them the best that I can for you. Eventually, one of these times, maybe once this series is done, I'll do a live stream, and I'll kind of work on my game, and you guys can come hang out. And if you throw in questions there, we can go over them there, and I can show you how I make maps and all that other stuff. I know I've talked about it several times, but just trying to find the time with work, and what time would be the best, so as many people can come as possible would be the best thing that I'm trying to figure out right now. So I think I've rambled on long enough about this. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, share it with your friends that are interested in playing this game. Hit the like button. It really helps out. But with all of this said, until I see you again in the dungeon, I'm Brian, your Game Master. Stay safe and happy gaming.